Hey everybody, today we are going to talk about our trip to Isla Holbox, Mexico.
And it was a very rainy adventure.
Hey everybody, I'm Sean.
And I'm Deb.
And welcome back to the channel. Today we thought we would talk a little bit about our adventure to Isla Holbox, Mexico.
So Isla Holbox is a side trip we took after we went to Merida, and we had planned on, this was going to be our side trip to a little island and some beaches.
Little vacation.
Little relaxation,
Yeah.
sun and sand. And it turned out to be a little different than what we
It was an
planned
adventure.
for.
It wasn't
Yes.
necessarily, because I like when Deb was telling me about Isla Holbox and what we would do, it was all about like, it's a beach community, go sit on the beach, do nothing, sip margaritas, you know, just relax. And we were coming off of Merida where we were going to be like running, going
And it was very, very hot.
Yeah, and so we, you know, that sounded awesome. Go to Isla Holbox for a couple of days and just wind down and relax.
To get to Isla Holbox, we took about a 4-hour bus ride from Merida to, I want to say Chiquila, because I want to pronounce it like tequila, but
Chiquila, yeah. And it was on the regular ADO, so it was a good, like,
Yes.
it was a nice trip. I mean, 4 hours on the regular ADO is a nice coach tour bus, so it was pretty easy to do. Yeah, it was nice.
And so you can pretty easily navigate when you get off the bus where you're going for the tickets. There's people there that will tell you or just ask. And we bought our tickets and waited a little bit.
Tickets for the ferry.
For the ferry, yes.
Because Chiquila, you take the ADO to Chiquila, and
Yes.
then you have to take the ferry
over
across.
to the island, yes.
Yeah, and so
there's no road. There's no bridge.
And so if you, like Deb said, it's pretty easy to find the office to buy the tickets for the ferry. And if for some reason you don't feel comfortable or whatever, ask your ADO bus driver or ask the, you know, if you took
And
a bus or
Chiquila is a pretty
cab.
small town, so
Yeah.
it was pretty easy to
But
navigate.
we went into a convenience store to get water while we were waiting for the ferry. Everybody was nice, so everybody knows that if you're coming to Chiquila, you're probably going to Isla Holbox. So,
And it's a very short ferry ride over to Isla Holbox, maybe about 15 minutes or so, maybe 20.
and it was nice when we got there. I think, if I remember right, like the cost of the ferry trip was like $15 a person somewhere. I'm sure it depends on the time of year when you're going. We were in January, so the off season. So I think it was like $15, something like that. And it was really nice when we got there. I mean, it was a beautiful day. We sat out on the top of the ferry. It's a good sized ferry, lots of seats. You might have to wait, 20 minutes, half hour between, for your ferry to get there, but plenty of seats. We sat up top and just relaxed. So it was nice.
And Isla Holbox itself is a pretty small island, population of around 2,000 people, so it's pretty small.
Yeah.
But it's really, because it's small, it's so easy to get around. So the ferry docks, we were actually close enough that we just walked to our hotel.
10 minute, maybe a 10-minute walk.
And we could have opted to take a taxi. And when I say taxi, Isla Holbox does not allow cars.
Right.
So there's no cars, so your taxi is most likely going to be a golf cart.
Yeah. The golf cart or some
Four-wheeler.
sort of four-wheeler
Yeah.
or something.
Which is just a fun way to get around anyway.
And they were everywhere. So
Yes.
there are people whose job it is to be, a taxi driver in Isla Holbox. So they have these nice little carts. So we obviously when the ferry comes in, the taxis are all there waiting to take people. But we kind of had done our little Google Maps, seen that it was like a 10-minute walk, and so we decided just to make the little adventure and hoof our way over to the hotel.
And our hotel this time, we did stay at a Marriott. We quite often stay at Marriotts, and the reason for that, if you've seen some of our other videos, is we like to build up points and then use the points.
Yep.
So we were able to get free nights at a Marriott on the beach in Isla Holbox, which worked out pretty good.
Just one tip / warning, and we'll talk a little bit about this in a little bit. We were pulling a roller bag to get from the ferry to the hotel. Sidewalks on Isla Holbox are hit and miss.
They're not very good.
Yeah, there's some here, there are some there. Some of them are so narrow that a roller bag wouldn't even fit on it. So just be aware if you're going to walk.
When we went back, we took a taxi.
Yeah, we
and
did.
we probably should have taken a taxi when we went to the hotel, even though it's not a long distance. But yes, because of the road and sidewalk conditions in Isla
Yeah.
Holbox.
If we'd only had backpacks, it would have been just fine. But lugging a roller bag, it's just kind of a little bit awkward. So just be aware of that. We'll talk about the infrastructure of Isla Holbox in a little bit, but it's a little on the rustic side. So if you look, you're like, 15 minutes to walk to my hotel, and each of you is carrying a roller bag, you might want to just grab a taxi. They're not expensive on the island, so it's pretty easy to do.
So there's some pretty popular activities, which is the reason why a lot of people go to Isla Holbox. Probably the most popular is the whale shark tours. And unfortunately, we were not there during the correct season for whale shark tours.
Yeah.
So we missed that, but maybe on another trip.
Yep, maybe.
Another popular thing to do is the bioluminescence. And we'll talk about why we really were not able to do that either.
So
the kayaking is popular too.
Because you can see the bioluminescence from the shore, but you can go kayaking in like the bioluminescence as well.
Kayaking in general is a suggested activity because of the calm waters.
But not for us.
Not for us. So we went for sun and sand, and we got an adventure.
We didn't get sun and sand, and that's we're super adaptable.
You win some, you lose some.
Yeah, and honestly, I always tell Deb, like, most of the time we get really good weather when we go places. So when it happens that we don't get really good weather, it just is what it is. You just take it. And so we went to the Marriott. We got to the Marriott, and the Marriott. It was actually
the first night.
It was
we
a
had
beautiful day. Yeah.
Decent weather. Yeah.
We had a gorgeous sunset that we got to see. So the Marriott we got to walk around, see, how was the Marriott. They have a couple small pools. They didn't have big pools because, you're on the ocean. It literally was oceanside. Beautiful big beach, lots of, like cool little swings to go swing on, and a nice outdoor, like giant cabana restaurant, which was cool. But so we enjoyed that first night a lot. I mean, it was a pretty night to be on Isla Holbox.
And then came the rain.
And then we went to sleep, and it just rained. And
it rained a lot.
It sounded great. We're like sleeping, and we're like, oh, it's beautiful rain.
And we had done a little bit of research, so I knew that if it rained while we were there, that was probably not going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
And it was interesting.
If you read the reviews, you'll see there are people who, when it rains on Isla Holbox, they complain, and they complain for a reason, which we'll talk about. But
so the rain, we were at the hotel and it was raining, and we headed into town anyway because we needed to go get
we're not
food.
gonna hunker down and hide in our hotel room. So.
And one of the things that Isla Holbox is not known for is infrastructure.
Yeah. We mentioned the sidewalks. Like, it's not just the sidewalks.
It's not just the sidewalks. It's the potholes in the streets.
Yeah.
And the streets, we got some pretty good video of it just completely flood.
I saw it was
not from
rustic.
a storm, from rain.
Yeah, it is rustic, and the reality is there's not a ton of drainage for all that rain, and it did. It rained a lot, so this wasn't just a little bit of rain and things got backed up. It got hit hard. It was a lot of rain.
It was a lot of rain.
We luckily
It wasn't stormy. It was just a lot of rain.
Just a lot of rain.
Yeah.
And so we're
but
like,
people
okay.
still went about their business.
As did we.
As did we.
We were like, let's go get breakfast in town. And so, what do we do when it's cold and rainy, or it's raining outside? We go find food.
So I will say, though, with the kind of conditions of the rain, there was a lot of wind. And so actually we found... I can't remember if someone told us about it or how we decided. Maybe we just were walking and we just walked all the way out there.
We just wanted to walk out to the beach because there was a
we were
cool
on the
point.
beach.
Yeah.
But, that's
There's
right,
a
because
cool
we were going out
point.
and looking for a certain spot down the beach. And it was maybe about a 20-minute walk down the beach, and we discovered the kite surfers, and that was fascinating to watch.
Super cool. Like, just before we get to the kite surfers, though, like, we walked down this long, muddy road, and everywhere, every 5 minutes you would see a sign that says "Do not stray from the road," and had a big crocodile thing to it. So Deb was walking right down the middle of the road. No, she was terrified that she was going to get eaten by a crocodile. There are crocodiles on Isla Holbox, so I'm not poking fun at it, but it was kind of humorous.
We didn't see any, and that was okay with me.
But we walked all the way down to that point, and the kite surfing was wicked cool.
And it was very organized. There were instructors there, some people doing it on their own.
Yeah, there's a kite surfing school,
Obviously, this was a
apparently.
very popular activity to do.
Yeah, and you'll see in the video, there's like 30 people out there kite surfing at the same time, and how they didn't run into each other or get their kites tangled,
We did not try
I
it,
don't know.
we just watched.
Oh, God,
it was
no.
definitely not something I would try without a proper instructor.
Yes.
Because we did see somebody get pretty seriously injured.
Yeah, we saw an injury. They caught their hand, got tied up in their kite, and it cut it open, but we didn't have any video of that. But it was kind of cool to see them out there. Like, I'm down for anything, but I would not try to do that without proper instruction.
No.
Because, like, the wind was like whipping those kites
very
up.
windy.
They were flying up in the air like 10, 15 feet. It was super cool. And so, I don't know if it was calm, if we would have got to see that cool version of kite surfing. So, like,
It was a good distraction, and we had never stopped and watched something like that
lemonade
before.
out of lemons.
That's great.
Yeah, so we got to see kite surfing. It was pretty cool. So we decided after the kite surfing, we were like, you know what, let's not take the walk back. There were taxis down at that point, so we hopped a taxi. When you're in a taxi on Isla Holbox, hold on tight. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, because it's
There are a lot of
bouncy and there's
potholes.
potholes, and I mean, literally, you could go not paying attention, looking at your phone, and bounce right off the taxi because they're over-glorified golf carts. But we got back in. It was just fine.
Yep.
So yeah. Okay, so like I said, we didn't hunker and hide. Whenever it's raining and it's bad weather out, we tend to go, kind of comfort ourselves by finding food. Oftentimes breakfast food, sometimes sweets, sometimes big sweet savory food. But we started by going down to a really cool little breakfast cafe that was downtown. It was called Mr. Happy.
Yeah, that was my favorite meal there.
Yeah, and it was super good. Good coffee, like great. I had a breakfast skillet with great poached eggs. I mean, it was super good. So we did that, and it was great.
And it was a very cute little cafe too. So that was nice.
Kind of ate at a
live music.
Yeah, there was live music playing, and we ate just kind of at the bar, but it was nice. It was a good place. I would definitely recommend going there if you haven't. We found we wandered around. So in the middle of Isla Holbox is their centro, their square, and there were coffee shops and ice cream shops everywhere. We looked for flip-flops for Deb because she had forgotten hers.
I forgot mine.
Yeah.
And because of the rain.
Yeah, that's exactly right. She only had her tennis shoes, and like my tennis shoes are getting
There was no
soaked.
wearing tennis shoes through Isla Holbox.
No, in that rain, we were in some places walking through water that was up to our ankles. I mean, it was pretty deep. And like I said, no reasonable rhyme nor reason to the sidewalks. So a lot of times you're in the street walking through rushing water.
We're trying to avoid it as best you can.
Again, I'm not trying to paint this as this is how Isla Holbox is, because this is a weird kind of.
But it is a known
It
thing.
happens.
Yes,
Yeah,
it does happen.
It does happen, but it doesn't happen all the time. So I don't want people to be like, I don't ever want to go to Isla Holbox because it's all rainy and floody.
Now, our first night there, we actually tried lobster pizza.
We did try that, and I liked it a lot. It was lobster pizza, and I think it had like fresh pineapple on it, and it was good pizza. It was made by the restaurant at the hotel, so it was really good. And then the second night we were there, we went to a kind of fancy, I guess, Mexican restaurant. And I remember we ordered guacamole because if you've seen in our previous video when we were in Merida, I discovered guacamole is amazing. And so we decided we'd order guacamole again. And the waiter asked us, would you like that with grasshoppers or without grasshoppers, right? And we're like, what?
With, I guess.
Yeah, with. When in Rome, we'll eat the grasshoppers. So he was really good. He was like, they're deep fried grasshoppers. They're on top. You can pull them off if you don't want them, or you can just try them. So we got great guacamole that had grasshoppers on top of it, and we
tried the grasshoppers.
Yeah. I mean, they're just kind of deep fried crunch is what they are. They remind me of those little. Those onions that people put on top of the green bean casserole. It's just like a little crunchy onion. And if you close your eyes and don't think about it being a grasshopper, it's just a crunchy onion.
Sure.
But the guacamole was good. The meals that we had there were good. You know, keep in mind it is a touristy place. People go to Isla Holbox because they're tourists.
And once you're there, you're there.
Yeah.
So you're going to eat what's there.
What's
so
there? You're
everything
going to
might be a
pay
little
the
bit-
prices.
And I think I had read as a tip too to make sure you took out the proper cash ahead of time.
Yeah.
Because you want to be able to have cash on hand on an island like that.
Yeah.
And you probably don't want to hit an ATM while you're there.
ATM fees will get you. So just be aware. Have pesos. I can't remember if they took U.S. dollars or not, but we had pesos because we had come from Merida anyway. But the meal was good. It was a little on the pricey side for what we usually eat, but it was really good, and we might have had a couple of margaritas while we were there, so totally worth it.
Okay, as you've heard us talk about, often when we go to places, we sort of evaluate would it be a good digital nomad stop for us or not.
Yeah.
I feel like we didn't go into Isla Holbox with that mindset. We were just more taking it as a tourist side trip.
It was vacation. It was the end of a vacation, yeah.
But decidedly, after having been there, that would be a no for us.
There's no way. I mean, so if you remember, if you've seen some of our other videos, we have some criteria for being able to digital nomad. I mean, if we're going to stay, and when we talk about digital nomading, we talk about staying in a place for 2 or 3 months at a time. I can tell you that the Wi-Fi on Isla Holbox would not work. I actually tried to work, and remember, we're in a Marriott, and so I was trying to work, but because of all the rain and everything that was going on, there were times when we didn't have any Wi-Fi. And even we have T-Mobile in the United States, and T-Mobile has a relationship with the cell providers in Mexico, and there were times when we didn't even have solid cell service.
And the infrastructure just was not there.
It wasn't.
And then also it felt a little bit isolated. So, you know, if you had some kind of medical emergency, you are out on this little island and would have to catch a ferry to go back. And even then, you're not really close to a major hospital.
Right.
So there's just quite a few reasons. Would we recommend visiting it? So if you are okay with a little adventure,
it's an adventure,
it's a hit or miss. So
Yeah.
if you happen to go there and you get the great weather, it's probably a very lovely place to visit.
Look, yeah, if you love to go sit in an all-inclusive resort, and there are people who love to do that, and I don't judge them at all. Like if that's what you want.
One day we will try that. We've never tried that.
Yeah, stability, security. You know that every day you're going to get fed. Every day the you know it's going to be great. You can go to the pool. You can go on an adventure. You know, whatever. Isla Holbox might not exactly be for you because it is, like I said, it's a little on the rustic side. So just be aware of that going in. It is, you know, it kind of is what it is. One thing I will note, there were a lot of hostels.
There were a lot,
hostels.
yes.
I say youth hostels, but I think people stay in hostels even when they're not young. But there were a lot of hostels on Isla Holbox, so it is a very popular, like, with younger generations. And so my gut is some of them are digital nomads, and some of them have probably figured out how to make it work. So.
I imagine some of them are there for the kite surfing.
Yeah,
because there
probably.
were a lot of people kite surfing.
There were. Yeah, it would be great to go back and visit. I'd love to, especially scuba dive with the whale sharks, but even just to go see them would be amazing. So yeah, for a nice vacation, it's good. Definitely not for what we would do for a digital nomad.
Yeah, but we enjoyed it. It didn't matter that it was raining, and we just looked at it as an adventure.
It's just an adventure.
Yep.
So that's it. That's our Isla Holbox adventure. So thanks for tuning in and checking it out. If you've got questions about our experience at Isla Holbox or as digital nomads, obviously leave them in comments. We love to see comments and reply to them. And be sure to like and subscribe. And otherwise, we will see you in the next video.